everybody, and welcome back to the AC's Jeremy Plays Kerbal Space Program. We're going to jump right in here. Now, last night, or last time we played, Friday, we were attempting to do arrow braking around Gilly, at which point our craft dug a little bit too far into the atmosphere, overheated, and went boom. So, going to open up our Gilly orbiter, which, as you can see, is already a rather excessive spacecraft. And we're going to make it a little bit more so. I think the main problem that we're having is simply in getting off the ground here, and it also comes down to trying to slow down later on. But if we can keep from having to burn certain things early, then I think that it will help us out a lot here. So, in good old Kerbal fashion, it's time to add more boosters. Because in this game, there's no such thing as too many boosters. Okay, now get our thing to collapse a little bit there. Okay. Now, make sure everything is capped. And then we want to maintain the structural rigidity that we've been going for so far. In order to do that, we're going to need to link these suckers so we don't see any massive accordioning. Okay. Now, since we haven't really made any major changes to any of the other ones, then we should be more or less okay here. Okay, as it is, I'm just trying to give us as much lift as possible to start with in order to have as much fuel as possible to work with later on. So, save, and let's see if we can at least get this one. Okay, I need to upgrade my vehicle assembly building now. I've exceeded 255 parts, which is probably way too many, but I've got the money to upgrade it right now. Launch pad is fully upgraded, so let's go back in and we can go ahead and launch this sucker. Okay, so make sure that we're saved and then launch. Okay, all engines to full, and turn my SAS on, yes. Let's go. Now, one of the biggest problems that we're going to face to start with is getting a clean separation as soon as we're actually ready to try for a separation here. But we're already pulling a pretty good bit of thrust here. Coming up on nearly 2 Gs. Which means we'll probably be pulling 3 Gs by the time that we actually start to burn out these thrusters, because we're losing a good bit of weight from fuel usage. Starting to have some atmospheric effects. Okay, we're starting to lose atmospheric pressure, so of course we'll accelerate a little bit faster because we won't have as much drag. Coming up on our first stage solid rocket booster burnout. Okay, wait for everything to settle down a little bit, and then kick those suckers loose and light off the next set. Getting a bit of a roll out of it, but still accelerating it better than a G, so I'm not really going to complain too much. The SAS is doing its best to compensate for the roll. Let's see what we're looking at here. We've already got an above atmosphere apoapsis, so we're not really doing too bad there. I'm not even going to bother trying to counteract the roll until those solid rocket boosters burn out again. She does look kind of cool though, doesn't she? I'm just so glad that I don't have any Kerbals on this thing. Okay. Trying to wait for everything to damp out a little bit here. Go ahead and jettison those. We're actually doing pretty good right now. We're going to need to start turning to the east as soon as we can really get it to settle out properly. Okay. Start taking her over to the east here. Still thrusting good. And this should start extending our orbit a good ways. We're pulling nearly a full G of thrust right now. Actually pulling away from Kerbal very well. Now the whole reason that we're really going to need an orbit here is so that we can come around and then swing back out. And I think I may have still forgotten to put the requisite systems on this thing, which is never a good thing. We still got a pretty good bit of structural rigidity here, so we're doing good there. Of course, that's going to go away right about the time that we drop off these four main lift engines. And there goes our lift engines. So, get rid of those, fire up the next one, let it start burning. And by thrusting more or less across the horizon here, it should actually help to turn the orbit. But as soon as I can actually be assured of coming out the other side of the planet, then I'll start saving some fuel. Yeah, we're still pushing our apoapsis far enough away. One of the nice things about the Poodle is that it is a very efficient drive system. So we should have plenty of burn time on this one. Okay. Let's see, we're currently purling 1.4 meters per second of actual acceleration, which means that we are technically slowing down, but that's only because we're heading towards apoapsis and we're not thrusting directly prograde. Just trying to generate enough lateral motion here. 5 degrees above the horizon. Should be a pretty good lateral thrust vector. And we'll be getting closer and closer to prograde, so eventually we'll start pushing our periapsis out the other side of the planet. But I really am hoping to be able to save enough fuel so that I don't have to use those solid rocket boosters until I get to the other end. But we will see. What I probably should have done was actually gone for a retrograde orbit to get off the planet, but that would have also been just downright weird. Our actual velocity loss is starting to slow down. That's mainly because we're getting further and further away from the planet, and our orbit's starting to become, or our vector is starting to become more shallow relative to the actual surface of the planet. And now we're starting to pick up velocity, mainly because we're thrusting close enough to prograde to start doing that. I should just about have enough pretty quick here to start actually pushing a periapsis. And I'm actually pushing the apoapsis further and further away now. Just not really what I want to be doing. So I'm going to warp to my apoapsis. And then push prograde as much as possible. Try to push my periapsis out. Okay, turn down my engine so I'm not using as much fuel. Not getting quite as much thrust out of it, but at least I'm not using as much fuel. Yeah, my periapsis should break the surface any time now. should get there fairly soon. Okay. Periapsis is coming out. As soon as it hits 100,000 meters, I'm going to cut engines and start working out what kind of maneuver I need to pull here. Just want to make sure that I am completely clear of the atmosphere for this orbit. Okay. Let's figure out what we can do here as far as getting an actual escape trajectory goes. That one's not half bad, but what does it leave us with? It's not really going to tell me right now. Using that one, it would give me a mun-assisted exit, but unfortunately it's giving me a mun-assisted exit in the wrong direction. But then again, a mun-assisted exit is a mun-assisted exit, which means I don't have to use as much fuel for it. Of course, if I waited a couple of days, I'd probably be able to get an even better mun-assisted exit trajectory. Just iterating through a few orbits here, trying to get the mun to come around to a good spot for me. Okay, let's see what happens if we add a maneuver there. Okay, that's a mun-assisted exit actually heading pretty close to the right direction and not requiring all that much in the way of thrusting, I hope. Okay. So now we get to see exactly how well this works. Okay, we did get rid of that nose cone, so shouldn't be doing too terribly badly. We've got nearly a fifth of a G in thrust. So now we'll just get to see if our fuel actually holds out. Come on now, you can do it. We're nearly up to the node and still have we'll still have almost 4 minutes of thrusting to do once we hit the node. So yeah, this could suck bad. Would have hoped that we would have been gaining more maximum acceleration, but we're not, mainly because we're using a poodle. Just over halfway done with this maneuver. Yeah, it looks like we'll be passing behind the Mun there, so it should pull us the entire time, dragging us closer or dragging us faster and faster for most of that time frame, which is of course how gravity assist works. Looks like they updated the backgrounds recently. that would be our engine there giving out. So now we are thrusting with our Terrier, which is giving us a quarter as much thrust. But as I said, I'm trying to save those last few, or those last four solid rocket boosters for the other end for slowing down, because I'm going to need it to slow down. Come on. Okay, gonna set my target for Eve. And we'll see what happens as soon as we manage to get out of Kerbin's gravitational influence. Come on now, you can do it. Okay. Coming down on 2 minutes left to thrust. Over 6 minutes past the node. Right now, just praying that we still have the ability to get something close to the orbit we're looking at. Or the trajectory that we're looking at, I should say. Probably should have refigured the maneuver after we lost the poodle, but still gonna try to push for this one at least. Yeah, that's not half bad. Now, if only it can keep on stretching. I'll settle for any escape trajectory at the moment. Okay, that's giving me an escape trajectory with a Mun periapsis of 273,000 meters. I'll take it. Get rid of that maneuver. And let me see, can I time warp to there? Yes, I can. Cool. See exactly how screwy it decides to be. Okay, let's see what kind of orbit we've got here. That's not half bad. Man, this thing is just going to be finicky as all get out now, isn't it? Okay. I'm trying to plan this sucker out as closely as I can to get me a good intercept here. But there's no guarantee that that's even going to happen. about as close as I'm going to get this time around. Okay. I find my target point, and then I can warp to that maneuver, and I think I'm just going to end up having to fire off my solid rocket boosters to actually pull this maneuver off. But that's fine. I'll deal with it. Come on now. Yeah, and herein lies the problem with trying to use just control wheels. You end up with a lot of trouble actually turning, especially maintaining control of a turn. And the simple SAS is hardly all that useful. Okay. Now we'll see if I can even hold her steady come firing those boosters. Okay. And in a lot of ways, I do wish that I could just turn these bloody things off when I had used up what I needed to, but it's not always a possibility. It's especially not a possibility with solid rocket boosters, because once they lit, they lit. You just burn them for as long as they last. But with these suckers only being at half power, it means that I'll end up getting a good bit more uh, burn time out of them. It doesn't exactly hurt that they're coming up on 4 Gs of thrust. Now 5 Gs. Okay. Eliminate that maneuver. And let's see what we are here. Unfortunately, odds are that this is probably going to be entirely too much thrust for what I can actually still produce. In fact, if I really had to guess, I'd say I'm probably already overspent. Yeah. Okay. Now, if only I could actually pull off that maneuver, it would be awesome. But given the amount of fuel that I have and everything else, I don't think I can. Especially considering that I know beyond the shadow of a doubt that it's going to take me more than 42 seconds of thrusting to actually pull that off. But we will see. Our engines are a lot more efficient than they were before, but that's mainly because we're not having to drag around those 4 solid rocket boosters while we're at it. can do it. We're up to nearly a full G's worth of thrust here. It's actually a really nice thing. Crap. Okay, that's not so bad. Let's see if we can actually make this work. Still have a good bit of fuel to work with. Even though our orbital angle is absolute crap, we'll be coming together close enough to a node that it shouldn't matter too terribly much. Hello? Mandog Heart the Second. Welcome to the chat. Okay. Now let's figure out how bad this is going to be. Current angle sucks, of course. Now it's just 3 words strung together, you know. That's all it is. Don't know what all there is to get wrong about that. So how you doing tonight? Yeah, this is definitely going to be a crappy orbit. Is anybody still there? That really doesn't sound like it was too smart an idea. I'm sure the police didn't appreciate it either. Although my best advice would be to drink plenty of water. Just understand that that is the advice of a completely and utterly amateur opinion. Yeah, sounds like probably the best thing you could do. So just curious, ever played Kerbal Space Program? How much luck do you have with orbiting Gilly? I think this is my fifth attempt at it, so ah. Here the Xbox is a little bit more what was the term that he used the other night? A little bit more sandbox. Can't actually play a career game in it, from what I understand, which is what I'm trying to do here. And I'm gonna fail this one just perfectly, and I know it. Yeah, that's what I've heard about it. So, what games are you looking forward to that may come out soon? I know there's three I'm looking forward to. One of them comes out about 3 weeks from now. It's Civ 6. Of course, I was a huge Civ 5 fan. 280 hours played, stuff like that. And then I'm looking to get into uh, Star Citizen when it comes out, or maybe even a little bit before. I might start up with Squadron 42 when it's out later this year. My best friend raves about that game and how wonderful it is, especially by comparison to stuff like Elite Dangerous, which I played a good bit of Elite Dangerous. It just got too grindy for my taste. It's like, yes, we're going to have as much grind as possible. We don't care. It's just going to be grind. Cool. Any good? And I'm about to run out of fuel, so this mission is about to be a complete failure. I'll have to look it up then. Ugh. I hate it when I fail a mission, especially after I put so much time into it. I'm just not willing to waste the spacecraft right now. Okay, so let's see where we can possibly improve this thing. I think launch angle is one of the first places that we're going to be able to make improvements. Ugh, wrong type. Okay. Cool. Ugh. I do believe I'm going to add another line of boosters up here, just for good measure with later maneuvers. Think I got enough boosters on this thing now? Hmm. Yeah, I'd imagine that hitting the police van was definitely the worst part of your day. Okay, so I need to drop that sucker, then light off that one, and then I need to light off those and be able to drop them. When the time comes. Then those, yeah, that looks about right. Of course, that Terrier is going to be almost worthless now till I get rid of all those boosters. understand I'm probably about to call it a night myself. You have a good one, man. Okay. Now that I have it ready for tomorrow night, I am actually going to call it a night, so I hope you get feeling better, man, dog heart. And hope everybody enjoyed it. Have a good night. Bye. Oh, yeah, remember, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, support us on Patreon. Bye.